Hold space for yourself. Hold space for the team. Hold space for the collective. Aloha, multidimensional beings, shifters from all across the globe. Thank you once again for joining another very exciting, inspirational, and educational episode of Paradigm Shift Central Team Building Circle here tonight, live on April 26, 2018. And of course, my name is Brendon, aka Skull Babylon, aka Skull the Wolf. Happy to have you here with us once again for what will be another inspirational, as I said, heart-opening, mind-expanding, and just another opportunity for us to be able to come together as a collective, to be able to check in, to see where we're at, to be able to share stories in terms of how the paradigms are continuing to shift, how we are continuing to shift on an individual level, and how we are shifting as a collective as well. So I'm joined here tonight by our very special friend, Michelle. So Michelle, let's do this as we usually do by making some noise and sending some love out there to all the people who are tuned in. So let's make some noise, Michelle. Awesome. Thank you very much, Michelle. Sweet. All right. So to begin this broadcast, we'll just go over it with the quick introductions, and then yeah, you know, there's a lot that's going on, and we'll get into that in a second. So for those of you who may be entirely new to this, Paradigm Shift Central is a real world interactive game to help shift consciousness, and part of the way how you play that game is by continuing to work on yourself, by continuing to go out there to collectively help plant seeds to be able to help assist with the shift, by building physical paradigm shift communities, by creating conscious media through the main website, and by continuing to just do what you can to be able to help choose to be the change that you wish to see in the world. And as you level yourself up, you continue to add to that bigger story. So doing this through the project is something that we've been doing for quite a while. And once again, we are here tonight for very good reasons. And I will say that off the start, you know, like, it's important for me to just be here in my own breath. And, you know, when I do these broadcasts, I don't always know what's going to come out. I don't always know what will be talked about, but this is a space for consciousness to be able to just, again, you know, whatever needs to be talked about will be talked about, and we'll kind of get right into it relative to a couple updates that I do want to be able to share, and we'll do those a little bit later in the broadcast. But yeah, just bear with me, because, you know, like, when I was like getting into this broadcast, I was kind of in a mind space where I was just like, and I'm like, oh, I could feel a part of me that was like having some resistance to even doing the broadcast. And that was just relative to the fact that I'm working through my own growth right now. And it's important for me to be able to show up for these broadcasts, and knowing that, yes, this is for myself, but knowing that what we are creating here is something for the team. And I know in the past when we've done these, there have been some cases where, you know, I've kind of been in a similar situation where I've just been like feeling the feel, so to speak. But then I know that in doing these broadcasts, it not only helps me, but it helps others. It gives people a chance to connect. It creates that circle for community. And there's a lot of healing that is taking place. There's a lot of deep lessons that are unfolding right now within the collective. So let me just kind of think for a second before we even go anywhere. Let's just take a moment here to just like anchor into our breath, and we'll do that first. So I was gonna see, again, I'm just kind of like in this mindset. I was gonna be like, oh, sorry if like the vibes tonight aren't like super like, whoa, super hyper and because, like, believe me, I love bringing you guys those vibes. I love bringing the vibes where I'm like turning this into a festival and it's just like a party and everything like that. And it is a party, because this party is about our transformation. And so what I wanted to be able to do tonight, I wanted to be able to talk a little bit about our own personal transformations that we are going through. And of course, we are on the precipice of a new full moon, and this is a very big full moon. And I put up a post about it the other day, and it was just one of those general astrology reports and everything. And this one is a lot to do with letting go, a lot to do with like healing from the pain, and being empowered through the pain, being able to see the lessons within the pain. And that's something that has definitely been like a lesson that I've been going through on my end. And I am honored to be able to share with you as we go through this broadcast some of like what those lessons have been, as well as being able to remind you that, like, yeah, like, if you're going through your own journeys, if you're going through like your own growth and everything, know that there's a reason for it. and you are experiencing something that is like part of a bigger story. And together, when we kind of like step back to be able to look at that bigger picture, it's going to help us find a little bit more of that reason, a little bit more of that understanding, a little bit more of that wisdom in terms of like not only why things are happening to us, but also how to be able to shift our perspectives, to be able to learn the lessons the best way we can, to be able to move forward, and to be able to turn our own, to be able to like receive the medicine that is being given to us through these powerful lessons. And so let me just start off by sharing just kind of like some of the exciting news before we even get too deep into that, just in terms of like relative updates. Because within these broadcasts, what we usually do, we usually create space to just allow shifters to be able to share some of the things that they've been up to, some of the things that they've been doing to be able to help assist the shifting the paradigms where they are. So let me just tell you a quick story, and then we're going to pass it over to Michelle, who, again, I'm super grateful to have here. And our good friend Byron is going to be joining, and we got a couple other people who are going to be joining in a little bit in the near future. And so, and again, if anybody else wants to join, if you're already a member on the main profile, if you already have a profile on the main website, you can join as well. We include the links into the video. So if you go to live.paradigmcentral.com/join hangout, you'll be able to get the link to be able to join the hangout as well. And I will say that I don't think this is going to be like a super long broadcast, but nonetheless, we are here. And yeah, let's make the most of this. Let's do ceremony with this, and let's sink into that place of just like intentional meditation. As I said, again, I know I'm kind of in this place where it's just like I can feel myself like I'm like overthinking things. I'm like trying to, believe me, I've been doing this for years, but I'm still learning how to do it. So let's just start off by meditating and just anchoring ourselves into that space. So just inviting you in this moment to just join by closing your eyes, relaxing your breath, relaxing your shoulders, relaxing your body, and just connecting with your breath in this moment. So just gentle inhales through the nose, and gentle exhales through the nose or the mouth. Again, gentle inhales through the nose, gentle exhales through the nose or the mouth. Let's take one more nice slow breath here as you allow yourself to just bring your awareness into your heart. As you continue to breathe, just bringing in that wisdom, knowing that everything is unfolding exactly as it should, exactly as it needs to, in order for us to be able to receive the lessons that are essential towards our growth individually and collectively. So I thank you. I honor you. Thank you so much for being here. Okay. So with that said, let me just share some really exciting news that was some of my shiftivism adventures from over the weekend. And some of you might have seen a post that I put up about this not too long ago. And then from there, we'll pass the talking stick around. We do have Christina, who has joined us, and we do have Michelle. And yeah, what we're going to be talking about as we kind of get going is, yeah, like just the lesson, like from my own experience, I want to be able to share without having to get too personal, what I've been learning through my own like heartbreak experiences, but also again that idea that your heart doesn't break, it only breaks open, and how that in itself is actually a path to empowerment and self-love. So for anybody who may be going through something similar, stay tuned for that. And yeah, and they're going to help me co-create this as well. So again, like I'm trying to like take the weight off my shoulders, and it's grateful to have other pillars here who are holding up this space with me, because yeah, sometimes I can get it too much in my head, and I can feel myself doing it now. So thank you guys for like helping me do this. Okay, let's do this. All right. on the weekend, on Saturday, last Saturday, was a very exciting time. And that was actually the Holi Festival that was happening here in London, Ontario, Canada. And so the Holi Festival, those of you might have seen in the past, I've made videos of this. We were doing free hugs down there. And that's always an exciting event. So the Holi Festival is like the Indian festival of spring and celebration. And it's that festival where they have like the color and they throw the color around. It's like that paint color. And you see people when they're dancing and they're celebrating. And it's all about just like unity. It's all about life. And it's just like a super high vibrational event. While we were there, obviously I was doing my regular routine of giving out free hugs, giving out lots of free hug signs to other people, and just kind of like creating that ripple effect. And it was really exciting to be able to do this. And that in itself is an awesome story. Just that, like, because I've done that before and I know how effective that is. And each time you like give those free hug signs out to people, you know that those people are going to like take those free hug signs with them, and they're going to continue like passing those on throughout their community. One thing in particular that was really exciting is that while we were there, and this is what I put up a post about, there was one young girl, Miriam, who actually came up to me, and she had her own free hug sign. And so she was there with her sister, I believe, and both of them came up to me, and she said to me, she came up to me and she was like, "I've seen your videos on the internet, and I was inspired by seeing your videos. So I came here today with my own free hug sign because I wanted to do it too." And so like in that moment, it was just like a really heart-opening moment for me, because I didn't expect it. I didn't expect it to happen, but it just kind of allowed me to kind of step back and to sort of be like, this is it. Like, this is why we do it. Like, this is like the seeds that we are planting in action growing right in front of us. And so it was just a really, really heart-opening moment with me and Miriam. And, you know, I was just like literally just kind of like down on her level. And I was just telling her how proud I was of her, and it just how genuinely just like amazed and how heartfelt it was for me to be in that moment. And so of course I gave her one of like the laminated free hug signs that we had to like add to her collection, and she like got a shift button as well out of it. And yeah, and then we like put up that post, and then her like sister saw it as well, and then they were just, and a lot of people really liked it and everything. And so that in itself was just a really powerful moment. And I just want to be able to share that with you, because again, it's just within this project, we want to be able to encourage people as to what type of difference they can make within the world. And so when we're doing things like free hugs, when we're just leading by example, regardless of anybody is even watching, all of that matters. All of that is seen. And it's really amazing to know how far that ripple effect can go. So shout out to Miriam, shout out to everybody who was at Holi Festival. That was an amazing experience. If you want to check out the live video that we have, I posted it up on my YouTube channel. You can check it out there. And there was like other young kids doing free hugs too. So like after we started handing out the free hug signs, there was literally several babies, literally babies, like kids who are no older than 2 years old, who are doing free hugs. And you'll actually see this within the live video that I posted of this like one little kid, and everyone was just like, oh my God, it was so amazing. So that was really special in itself. So with that said, yeah, other updates that I wanted to mention, and maybe I'll talk about this a little bit later on, but for those of you who are interested, I'm starting to feel the call towards moving into one-on-one coaching sessions. I don't have too much to say within that at this point, but the one-on-one coaching sessions are something that I want to open up for people in the community, for those who find value in being able to have someone to talk to be able to reflect and look back at themselves, to be able to begin to gain more clarity about like their own dreams and aspirations, to tap into their own empowerment. And so one-on-one like life coaching is something that I've just naturally kind of like been moving myself towards. And yeah, there's been like a lot of synchronicities happening within my life that are kind of like pointing me towards that direction. And that will be another way to be of service for the community. And I want to be able to provide those as like a pay what you wish donation base, as well as something that people like, they would be like for free, as well as a pay what you wish, or at least for starters they will be for free, and then eventually like other people will be able to do them as like the pay what you wish and everything like that, because it will be another model for me to be able to earn revenue and to be able to continue to support myself through the work that we are doing within the community. So that was another thing that I wanted to mention as well. Yeah, and there's other updates and stuff like that, but I'll share those with you a little bit later. So with that said, again, I'm being kind to myself right now, because I can feel myself, I'm like putting this pressure on myself, and I know, believe me, like within this project, it's really important for me to be able to show up as best as I can for you guys. And that's kind of been the mindset that I've been in the last couple of weeks, is that like through my own catharsis that has been happening, which we'll talk about in a bit, it's really pointing me into this direction of knowing that in order for Paradigm Shift Central to be the best that it can be, it really means that I have to be the best that it can be. So that's something that I really just want to reiterate to remind myself that it's something that I am committed to be able to also share that with you. So that is like really what I'm moving towards within my life right now, is that like, yeah, there may be days that it might be like harder and stuff like that, but it's about being able to constantly persevere, as well as constantly being able to like tap into our own flexibility and resilience. So let me take a break from talking for a second and reminding myself that this is all just practice. So let's check in with Michelle, and we do have Christina here, and we do have Byron here as well. So Michelle, if you're ready, I'm going to pass the talking stick over to you, and you're going to just say a little bit about anything that you would like to bring to the circle. And yeah, let's kind of like begin to set this up with the idea of what are the lessons that we are going through within the collective. And then from there, I'll kind of bounce back in with some of my own personal experiences and how those have led to a greater sense of self-empowerment for myself. So Michelle, I'm going to bring up your microphone real quick, and when you're ready, you can go ahead. So thank you, Michelle, and thank you everyone for being here. So Michelle, go right ahead.
Thank you, Skull. Let's see. Let's see what words are going to come through tonight for me to say. Actually, I wanted to share something that I've been working on for the community that I was working on today for yoga ritual, and then maybe I can talk about lessons if they come up and come through, because I know I'll have a lot to add before, but when you asked that, I was like, oh, that's a lot to say. I didn't know if I wanted to start there, but I wanted to start with like this piece of wisdom that I was working on all day sitting at the creek, which is something that is really powerful for me because there's a challenge in it. Like I teach yoga classes like once in a while. It's not consistent, and that kind of is something that I wrestle with. Like the consistency of my offerings has been like a thing. And for those of you who have known me for the years that I've been doing this broadcast, you've seen that, this in and out. But what is really beautiful, so I guess that's cool. It's like we're talking about like our challenges, and then what that brings into empowerment. So it's a Scorpio full moon. So I am a Scorpio, and this time is always like a really beautiful time for me, April, May, when it's the opposite polarity, the Taurian energy, and it's always this big transformational time for me, especially I think because it's like the polar opposite. And I'm learning a lot right now about evolutionary astrology. And evolutionary astrology is taught by this guy, Jeffrey Wolf Green, but Kai Pacha, and who I know I've mentioned on this broadcast, who does the Pele Report, and his whole tribe of New Paradigm Astrology community. The trick with evolutionary astrology is that we are like certain signs, like we all have Pluto in a certain sign, or we all have our sun sign, but what happens, and this is alchemy, this is like straight up alchemy and life. And this will probably go into our talk about like what's been challenging us, is because with masculine and feminine energy, with any polarity of consciousness, there are the two poles, and then the transcendence happens at the third place. So if you have two people in a relationship, there are two people who are assigned together to be partners, and they have their walk to do together, but only when the relationship is whole. Marianne Williamson says something about like when the relationship is holy, it's when there's a third point, and that third point is obviously God or like a higher power. And those two beings are connected first primarily to that higher power, and then together they walk to that higher power together to God. And it's the same thing with astrology. The polarities of like my sign Scorpio and its opposite Taurus. Scorpio, which is a lot about the challenges that I've experienced over this last year as I came to Boulder. I met a soulmate, and who really brought out parts of me that were uncooked. And a lot of what I've really just recently been told to by my astrologer coach person, somebody in the New Paradigm community, is Scorpio can have a tendency we love emotional intimacy, crave it, and can get addicted to it. So there's this codependency that comes up with Scorpio of like needing the other, like wanting so much to infuse into another partner, into another being, that it gets like too much and nobody grows. Like, it can get like stagnant energy in that way, because it's too obsessive, it's too intense. Now, the other side of that coin is like you're a powerhouse. You know, you have so much voltage to give and to offer to whatever you put that voltage into, and you have to learn to discern and to like be self-sufficient, which is the polarity. Taurus is this like, I am my own mom, I am my own dad, I am my own nurturer, I can take care of myself, I do not need another person to complete me. And so you don't want to be two in one threshold or two in another threshold. You want to be at that place where there's freedom, which is the center, and then there's transcendence. I love this. I love never knowing what's going to come through, and then I just talk, and that's beautiful. So that, I don't even remember how I got started on talking about that, but on another, if you want to say something, Skull, that's cool. Unless like I could just keep talking and go into this. Is that cool? You want me to just? I'll just change. So about the yoga ritual thing, what had happened was, you know, I was feeling very called to teach more and to hold space. Hold on. And to and like the truth was is that like you never know what's going to come through. Like you go to create a class or go to do a podcast or whatever it is, and like what you end up talking about or teaching is not necessarily what you are. It's like nothing you could plan. So for this particular class, what has come through is like so not anything I've read about the Scorpio full moon, or doesn't have anything to do with like integrating opposites. I found the Adi Shakti Mantra, which is this mantra, which I could sing, and it's Adi Shakti, Adi Shakti, Adi Shakti, Namo Namo. It's bowing to the primal, or calling on the primal maternal energy force, the primal female energy. And as I was listening to this mantra and tuning into it and like deciding what I wanted to how it would be involved in this workshop, I saw like this ancient feminine line, like a lineage of like all women, and like all the people in my class who are going to attend the class, like say mostly women. Usually at yoga classes, it's like primarily female. And I was seeing them like chant the mantra and like do their ritual intentions for clearing, which would be a normal yoga ritual, is like, you know, you bring your intention and you do the clearing and da da da. But I actually saw like this imbuement or this calling upon the female energy of the Adi Shakti, like the ancient maternal wisdom, and how that energy and chanting that mantra with these people heals, and drawing the energy of the moon itself is like this feminine lunar energy, and like how that's all connected. So I saw this very long line of past ancestry, and then the chanting, and then the connection of the moon, and like calling all those forces together. And that was very healing to like the feminine, that would be transmitted out into the world, into consciousness. So that is what came through for this particular yoga ritual, which again, I could not have planned or written. It just like, I heard this mantra and I understood the mantra, and I just got all of that downloaded. And what I wanted to share, if you don't mind, if I keep going, you can please chime in and let me know, is like just a little paragraph that I wrote today about.
Yeah, go ahead.
This.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
And just so you know, Michelle, I don't know if your microphone is, I don't know, it's a little bit like
not good.
Staticky. No, I think actually that might fix it. I should have mentioned that earlier. So
sorry. Has the whole thing not been good?
I think it's better, but it wasn't even that bad. But yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Okay,
Brian, I saw his thumb. That was so cute. I love his
that's
action.
good. Cool. And then just as a heads up, if Christina or Brian wants to go in the next couple minutes, just as a heads up, you guys are welcome to. But Michelle, go ahead and finish.
Sure. Yeah. And I kind of want to chant the mantra before I say this. Feels cool. The mantra is Adi Shakti, Adi Shakti, Adi Shakti, Namo Namo. Sarab Shakti, Sarab Shakti, Sarab Shakti, Namo Namo. Pritam Bhagavati, Pritam Bhagavati, Pritam Bhagavati, Namo Namo. Kundalini Mata Shakti, Mata Shakti, Namo Namo. So I'm gonna sing it one time and then I'll say this thing. Ahad Shakti, Ahad Shakti, Ahad Shakti, Namo Namo Sarva Shakti Sarva Shakti Sarva Shakti Namo Namo Pritam Bhagavati Pritam Bhagavati Pritam Bhagavati Namo Namo Kundalini Mahata Shakti Mahata Shakti Namo Namo. I call on, or I bow to the primal female wisdom, the Kundalini, the life force, the creative life force that runs through everything. I call on this, I bow to this, the ancient primal ancestral wisdom. So, the primal maternal, ancient energy is within our ancestry. It is within ourselves and within society. All that has been also exists in this moment. And as we call in and meditate upon the wisdom of the divine feminine, Shakti, this creative life force energy, the creative and ever-changing aspects of the full moon as it is rising, we bring this creative power through our own minds and into our own lives to heal and restructure any resistance we feel to the creative, nurturing, wrathful, feminine aspects of our own consciousness and universe. Our own connection to heal the goddess energies within our souls and our very lives, our very bones. As we use our bodies to receive this energy and wisdom and knowing through our consciousness, we open to receive the love, the grace, the protection, and the healing that is expressed in the highest frequency of this full moon in the Scorpio constellation. Taking a deep breath and drawing on the elements of fire, earth, water, air, and ether. Aho.
Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah, man. Thank you. That was powerful and very happy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, is there anything else you'd like to share? Are we ready to pass it over to?
Yeah, we can pass to people.
Yeah.
I can't wait to create a dialogue. Yeah, because we're going to talk about different things. I think a dialogue would be good tonight.
For sure.
You know. Okay. But I will be patient, medicine, and listening.
Cool. Awesome. And your microphone's still like a little bit like staticky or crackly. I don't know, but it didn't.
Is this okay? This is just the what's it called?
I don't think that. It's kind of better, but it's not. It's not actually better. So it's okay. We might just stick with the headset. That's okay. Okay. All right. We'll don't worry about it right now. That's no problem. Okay, cool. Sweet. Well, let me just check in real quick, and I want to be able to possibly pass the talking stick over to Christina next, if she would like to. Christina, can you give me a thumbs up if you'd like to do like a little introduction and stuff like that? Sweet. So you can just share a little just who you are, where you're what your name is, where you're from, and anything you'd really like to bring to the circle. You know, if you'd like to just practice reflecting on what are some of the lessons that you're feeling within your own growth, and how you might be able to share what you're learning with the circle here. So Christina, so with that said, thank you so much for being here, and I'll bring your microphone up, and go ahead and just say hi. We'll just make sure that your microphone's working okay.
Hi.
Cool. Okay, yeah, that's good. Sweet. All right, well, the talking stick is in your hands, so thank you for being here, and please go right ahead.
Hi. So I'm Christina. I'm from Chicago, Illinois, USA, and I don't think that I can speak as eloquently as Michelle on my past events that's going on, but kind of just touching on like a little bit of the astrology factor. Like this past Mercury retrograde was absolutely catastrophic for me, and I think that this pink full moon that's coming up in Scorpio is this crazy change energy, and I've been doing a lot of research on like that, and I feel like everything that just happened with this past Mercury retrograde was like it was the bottom. It was my bottom at least, and then this new moon has this, and like with spring coming and everything, it just feels like transformation, but like for real this time. You know what I mean? And I've been dealing with a lot of like, I think it's attachment issues this past year in particular that's been in my focus. Like, what am I attached to? What am I distracting myself with? I'm distracted all the time. And what I think is funny about this full moon is that the research that I've been doing on it, something that I pulled up recently that I wanted to share with you guys, it says Moon April 2018 astrology focuses on the benefits of the planet Saturn, which are preparedness, steadiness, determination, and final success. And it's interesting because the last time I was on a paradigm shift live broadcast, I was 7 days sober from smoking marijuana, which is something that I am extremely attached to. I fell back off, and now here I am again on Paradigm Shift on live broadcast, and I'm 7 days sober again from marijuana. So second time around, and this time it feels like there's no resistance this time. It feels like whatever just happened with this Mercury retrograde, that was so necessary for me to understand what I need to do now. And I feel like I'm ready now. Like, I don't think I was ready before, and now I think I am. And your post recently, Brendon, about like having to feel pain, and that message is so huge to me these days. Like, I wish I could speak as eloquently as you, Michelle, but I can't. So I stutter sometimes. I'm sorry. But honestly, that idea that like we cannot distract ourselves or numb ourselves from things that are uncomfortable, or maybe things that we don't like so much. We have to fully embrace those as just as real as the good stuff that happens to us. And our culture likes to tell us that we always have to be happy all the time, and I think that we've got it all wrong there. I think that part of life is experiencing that counterpart, and it's absolutely necessary in just coming to your truth in general. And yeah, so that's kind of what I'm dealing with on that end of the spectrum. And then I wanted to kind of make note, I'm also a yoga instructor, Michelle. I just got certified this last year, and I started teaching classes every Tuesday night at the gym. And it's been like it is going to be my vehicle to change this world. That's all I know in my heart. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I know that I'm going to help people cultivate peace, and it's going to be through this medium. And Brendon, you were talking about your encounter at the Holi Festival. I had kind of an aha, this is it moment as well. A couple weeks ago in one of my classes, I set an intention for every one of my classes, and usually I draw my intentions from whatever it is that, like, whatever my intuition and my guides are kind of throwing in my face that week, that's what I draw from, and I speak on that and make sure it's coming from an authentic place and through experience, more importantly. And in this particular class, well, first of all, I'd like to preface. So the week before that, this lady came into my class. She had to be probably about 30 years old. She was a little bit heavier set woman. She came into my class late, and then she left really early, really fast. I didn't get to introduce myself. I didn't get to say hello, nothing. And I noticed throughout my class she was struggling. You know, I was trying to offer her modifications, and all this time I was like pondering about her all week, just like thinking, oh my gosh, I don't think that lady's ever coming back to my class. And sure enough, the next week she comes back to my class, and she came early, so I had an opportunity to introduce myself to her. And I said, I found out her name, and she says to me, the previous week my intention was all about how, like, forget what your body looks like. We have this preconceived notion in our minds that what we look like has something to do with how much we're worth. Like, that's common misconception that our worth is determined by our physical appearance. So I really focused that class on not trying to make the postures look a certain way, but focus more on what they're feeling like instead of what they look like, and just all about taking care of your body and taking what you need in that moment. And when the lady came back the next week, we started talking, and she goes, I'm sorry I left your class so early. I felt like I was about to cry. And I was like, are you okay? She goes, yeah, I went home and I researched, and I realized that that's something that happens after yoga sometimes. And I said, yeah, we do a lot of heart opening and things like that. And sometimes when you open those energy centers in your body, it brings up some uncomfortable feelings. Sometimes you get nauseous, sometimes you get emotional. I told her I've cried on my mat a million times. It's totally normal. And she goes, I just kept having all these epiphanies during your class last week about how I haven't been treating my body with respect. And she just said that was her aha moment, that something in her life needed to change. And I was like about to cry, and I was like, okay, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing right now. This right here, this is it for me. And it was just the most rewarding feeling. And I know this is what I'm supposed to do with my life. And just that knowing is very powerful right now. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
That's really beautiful, Christina. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yay.
I think that what you're doing is amazing. That's really
Thank you.
wonderful.
Thanks.
Can I share
That's really
one
cool.
thing, Christina?
Yeah, awesome. I think Michelle has something to say. Let me bring Michelle's mic up. Michelle, go ahead.
I do. I just want to say about the marijuana thing that you mentioned in the thing. I let that go, and I also wrestled for a very long time, like back and forth. It was so hard to let that go because it was so ritualistic for me.
Yeah.
And I used it as like meditation, and I used it as like a way to connect to myself, and I used it for art, and I used it for so many things throughout my 20s. And then when it was time, I think I was like 28 or 27, and like I haven't. It's been since I'm 34 now, and like I have not even missed, like, it's once when you know it's time to like step out of that gateway, like more beautiful things are on, and like you find better spirit ways to commune, and it's really important. So I just encourage you to like stay as strong as you can, because the other thing that I just want to say is what I noticed was like a lot comes up when you let that go. And then you have to go through like this period of like dealing with all the unprocessed stuff that happens. And this is like for everybody, because it's like that's a way that it's funny. I noticed I was even talking about this earlier today. Some men I noticed can like hang on to that medicine longer, but like for certain women, like I don't think it serves us for whatever reason. I don't know why that is. Maybe because it's a feminine spirit of the plant, but I feel like when it's time to let it go, it, and you're so much better off. And like that's all I want to say is it cleans your energy field when you let it go, and you feel more clear, and that feels really good.
Yeah, I've been like very dissociated lately, and what I realized that I need not to be dissociated. I need to be here now. And I realized that letting go of that attachment is going to yield me that clarity. And like something else that I realized about plant teachers is when your vibration starts to go higher than the plant teacher, it will only bring you down. And I think that's what's happening inside me right now personally, is that understanding was very important for me to know. And not to mention the fact that if that's as high by smoking the weed necessary, if that's as high as you're allowing yourself to get, that's as high as you'll ever get. And I realized that I'm gonna be like unveiling a lot of things by taking this fog away, and I'm really excited for that. And I've been speaking with a really amazing conscious therapist, which, by the way, they're out there, they exist, and if you feel like they're not out there, they are out there. You just have to look closely for them, and they're not going to diagnose you as a crazy person, and they're not going to put you on medication. They're going to help you through things in a way that resonates. And I found that person for me, and he's been a great help in helping me try to connect with my guides. And he's telling me, letting go of these attachments, they're going to make themselves more present to you, your guides. You usually have one or two of them, and they're with you all the time. We're only able to see 7% of available light. Everything else, it's there, but we can't see it. So I'm personally really excited to shed this part of my old self to get a better relationship with my personal guides and just kind of get more in tune with my dreamscape and get some more messages through that space. And I know that this is something that I needed to do for a really long time, and for once there's not that resistance behind it, and it feels really good. So if anybody is like struggling with any kind of addiction or attachment, and it can be anything. Addictions and attachments have been like my greatest teacher in my life, between my mother, who's now 2 years sober from alcohol, which is amazingly synchronized with what I'm going through right now in my life. I think that when we distract ourselves from, and I notice it's not just with drugs necessarily, it could be anything. It could be your phone, it could be TV, it could be food, it could be anything. And what we're really doing is distracting ourselves from sitting with ourselves. And if we can learn to sit with ourselves, I think I'm not sure what happens yet, but I'll let you know. I think some cool stuff happens when you're able to sit with your own energy.
Yeah, it comes for me. I've been practicing that. It comes in waves. Like I still distract myself with like my own self, you know what I mean? But like clarity that you're talking about, the guides, you nailed it 100%. Like you evolve so much because your whole universe becomes like more vivid in a way. And that's been my experience. So I'm so grateful that you like articulated it the way you articulated it perfectly. And I'm so grateful that that ripple is going out into the universe, because I didn't know. I just kind of walked, and I'm grateful I was listening and I was shown. But like, yay, now people who are receiving that can actually really hear it. Like, no, it's true. Like, yeah, if you're feeling that call, break through that door, because you're like you're like, oh, you feel much better. You do, because you're listening to yourself.
Yeah. I think what's really important about habit changing, and what I've noticed, is that you really it's about making, you're never going to feel like doing the things that you don't want to do. You're never going to feel like it. So stop waiting for the motivation, because it's never going to come. What you have to do is white knuckle it long enough until you start to gain momentum. You have to do the things that you wouldn't normally do over and over and over again, and you will gain momentum. You just have to be strong. And I'm like, well, where am I going to get this strength from? How am I going to do this? And I saw a quote the other day that was super simple. It just said, be a light unto yourself. And the truth of the matter is that the strength comes from white knuckling it, and then soon you're more strong than you were before. So
Beautiful.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Sweet. That's been the highlight of my life lately.
Yeah, major lessons there, absolutely. And definitely in sync again, like kind of like with what we were saying. The big lessons going around right now are these the big lessons going around right now are these ideas of like letting go, but then like being able to find empowerment through the process of letting go. I still want to get more into talking about some of my own personal experiences and how that kind of even ties in with like what we're talking about within the collective. It's interesting, and it's just kind of like parallel to this, but yeah, like I've actually like stopped smoking weed for the past like several weeks as well, kind of for like my own individual reasons and everything. For me, it was just kind of like relative to being aware of like how how it affects like my own dopamine levels and everything. And believe me, like I've worked with cannabis a lot and everything, and I still will work with it in the future. But like with where I was at, knowing that I needed to like really focus on healing my heart at that time, and in correspondence to healing my heart, it required me like just like making physical shifts within my habits and my day-to-day practices and everything. And for me, it was just kind of this idea of like, okay, like I've got a lot of work to do, like physical like work within paradigm shift and everything, but as well as like inner work and everything. And it was being aware of like how working with cannabis was like evidently affecting my dopamine levels, from like, you know, scientifically and everything. And so it's kind of like you experience the enjoyment of like working with it in the moment, but then like afterwards, like it would be that kind of lethargy that would kind of creep up on you, and it's just kind of like, oh, you know, like I'm starting to get a little bit tired of this, and I'm starting to become aware of like how that is like affecting my overall productivity. So for me, it's been like a beneficial practice to be able to take a break from it, and it hasn't even been hard for me, at least. Taking a break from it like hasn't really been too much of a struggle. In a sense, it's been just kind of like a nice break from it, and then, you know, like I'll still work with it when it's relative in the future and everything. But yeah, you know, I think it's important for us to be able to look at anything that we have a relationship with, and to be able to challenge ourselves in terms of being able to understand that, yeah, as humans, we get addicted to things by nature. Straight up. So what happens when we start getting addicted to things that are actually healthy for us, opposed to things that are going to be like detrimental for us in the long run, so to speak? But again, you know, finding that balance for you is what's important, and being able to be self-actualized enough to be able to take the actions that are going to be the wisest for you in that moment. But yeah, let's oh, I think Mordecai might have actually walked away from the computer. Okay, because we were going to say we did. Oh no, Mordecai, give me a thumbs up if you're wanting talk next, if you're good to go. Yeah, okay, cool. And then Brian, I know you're still here. Mordecai's he's new, so we're gonna let him go first. And Brian, you're still here too. Okay, cool, awesome, sweet. All right. Okay, so we're gonna pass over to Mordecai in a second. Yeah, again, what I want to be able to talk about a little bit later, as I kind of just like warm myself up to it, because I'm like, do I want to talk about this? But I put up a post the other day. You know, one of the most important things that we can do is heal from our own pain and show others how to do the same. And so I want to talk a little bit, kind of in like a not super specific way, about some of the things that I've gone through recently, but also how that led to like some super empowering experiences for myself. So we'll get back into that a little bit later, but yeah, it relates to like relationships and heartbreak and all those human things. So feeling the feels here on Paradigm Shift Radio. All right, let's do it. Okay, Mordecai, I'm going to pass over to you. So again, you can just say who you are, where you're from, and you can just introduce yourself in whatever way you want, and bring whatever it is that you would feel you would like to bring to the talking circle tonight, relative to maybe lessons that you've been going through, or even if you just want to share a little bit about how you help shift paradigms where you are. So Mordecai, thank you so much for joining, and I'm going to pull your microphone up, and go ahead and just say hello, just so I can make sure your microphone works.
Hello.
Sounds perfect. All right. Okay. Passing the talking stick over to you, man. Welcome to Paradigm Shift, and go right ahead.
Hey, Brendon, thank you so much for having me. Firstly, brother, I'm honored to be here, and electronically. And where do I start? Well, my name is Mordecai. I'm a soul, like existing, and I live in South Florida. I'm in the United States, and I'm a light worker, light being, and I am, I guess to introduce myself, like I'm a writer, musician, poet, and how do I talk about myself? Shit. I like to help people, and I'm a young light being in the process of, I don't know how old my soul is, but like physically, I am changing a lot and growing. And so I guess, I know it's kind of awkward, but I guess that'll be the intro. My name is Mordecai Keston, I live in South Florida. I'm 19. I live with my mom, and I went to Israel 2 months ago. So that's the intro for this one. We'll do. So advancing on this, I guess like I just joined. I saw the Facebook, and I was like, yeah. And so I I guess I'll just flow and see um, what the what comes out, I guess, and like feel it out. So I feel that this is definitely in divine order. And what the other two ladies were saying about cannabis, Santa Maria, um, well, it's pretty relevant. And like have taken a tea break from Mama Ganja for about 5 days now. And before that, I had been sitting with Santa for like the weeks and weeks beforehand, in a way though where I almost like tricked myself that it was ceremonial and kind of being like, I need to do this. This is like I'm healing, and just right now, like without sitting with Santa for 5 days, I feel just so much clearer. I'm having crazy dreams, and I'm like, oh shit, like, and I've been running every day, so it's like my lungs. It's like physically, like I was like, next time maybe I'm going to put the cannabis in some brownies and ingest through that way and break down the THC through the stomach acids, because it's been like the biggest thing I realized is like just breathing in and out, like I'm like, wow, like my lungs like feel a lot. I had childhood asthma, but like I just noticed like how much better my breathing is, like, and I never really thought like bong rips. That's probably disrespectful to say like to the plant, but like I never thought that would like take a toll on my respiratory system. And now that like I've been running every day and I haven't sat with Santa for 5 days, I'm realizing like, wow, like that really did tax my body just physically. And definitely, Brendon, what you were saying with the lethargic, I totally like, the first day or two, it's like, I'm totally tuned in, like download. But then after like 3 days, or I'm like, okay, well, my tolerance went up a little bit, so we have to compensate for that. And then eventually it's more like, it's like, okay, I'm more kind of just like going on Facebook and so it's definitely affected me. And I guess just in the mix of cannabis, I think I'll add on cannabis for a short period of time. Like I've been working with Santa Maria for 3 to 4 years, I'd say, and I never really was respectful to the plant until like 6 months ago. And now when I am in prayer before ingestion, I am like, thank you, Santa, for helping me like for the last like 3 to 4 years that I've totally not even shown you any respect and just smoked blunts. And I'm like, thank you for like being so like forgiving of me and just totally being like, yeah, I'll help you out, and you don't have to like be grateful for me or understand that this is like real stuff and this is a plant being and you're tapping into higher realms and consciousness is real. And I was like, so I think definitely sacred medicine is a prevalent trend in today's world. And I really believe that everyone can have a unique relationship with Santa Maria. And for me, I've even experimented with channeling through cannabis, and I've just, for me, it's helped me just like it's really dissolved my ego in a way. And I've seen it's honestly just intriguing to me. It's simply so interesting to see how the cannabis affects my reality, and to see how I connect with people differently while I'm under the influence of some high grade kush. And it's a beautiful thing, because I've never been shunned by Pachamama. I've never been even though I've been so disrespectful, and I've just been so not even cognizant of the power and the holiness of beautiful, one of the most, like, the most beautiful plant ever, in my opinion. One of them, like, the plant has always just been so nice to me, and metaphorically, and it's, I think, everything in moderation. And however, I do know vaguely that, some shamans, they, in order to develop a relationship with the plant, teachers or medicine, they, literally just sit with the medicine for months, like every day, just day after day after day after day. And I really think it's individualized. And I really, for 5 days out, I'm totally like, wow, like, I've been thinking of, like, like, should I cop some more? But I've not, it's almost like the plant and me are like, we're like, okay, like, we get each other now. And it's cool to like have that relationship. If I literally, like, I write in my journal, like, if like Santa, like, if it be God's will that we have some time apart from each other right now, like, I'm okay with that. Even though it'd be pretty fun to just take a take a rip. But, like, I think after I sat with the San Pedro cactus in December, I really was like, okay, well, there's a lot I don't know, and it's a lot deeper than I thought. And every time it gets deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And I'm like, okay, well, let me just put everything in a perspective here. So I have a very personal relationship with the cannabis plant. And I'm even invested in the marijuana sector. I don't know if I call marijuana, like, cannabis marijuana, but in the cannabis sector, I'm even invested in the stock market, and my stock's doing great. Like, I really feel it's about a positive energy exchange. And even if, like, you're smoking or sitting with Santa, if you want to say it more, respectfully to our ancestors, I think even then, even if you're using it every day and your, like, tolerance is, like, totally smacked, there can still be a positive energy exchange, no matter how hazy your aura is, or how totally, like, numb you are. Even then, like, there can be light in every I think through every usage of cannabis. There always, no matter how disrespectfully you smoke, or how respectfully, or how often, or with what means, I think there's always ultimately a positive effect. And for me, I don't dream, like, when I'm sitting with Santa and I go to sleep under the influence, or I've been sitting with Santa throughout the day, like, I don't dream. So it's kind of like, for me, like the universe's way of saying, like, okay, so, like, you can use, like Pachamama was saying, like, you can use our medicine and, tap into the astral realms like that. And, basically, like, life hack and connect with people in a different way. But, like, for me personally, just for me, like, like, for me, like, I don't have dreams. I'm like, oh, that's weird. Like, I don't remember my dreams. And then I stop, and then, like, I have vivid dreams, and I'm like, oh, I get it. Cause it's like, you can't have both. It's like, it's like, it's kind of like the one without, you know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah. No,
Bravo.
I definitely hear you, man. So yeah, go.
Thank you so much.
Go ahead if there's just anything, if you just want to go for like another minute or anything like that. But yeah, like what do you feel like anything that you just want to bring into the circle relative to maybe like some of the lessons that you feel that you've been learning? Because again, like this kind of sounds like within that same genre of like the whole like letting go type experience that a lot of us are kind of going through right now. Because again, letting go is always going to be relative to some kind of relationship, and so sometimes that could be like a physical relationship with a person, or it can be like a relationship with a plant teacher or something like that. But yeah, how do you feel you're doing with the lessons that you're experiencing right now, and just like in a couple minutes or less, and then we'll pass the talking stick around.
Sounds good. I feel that I am it was the best of times, it was the worst of times, and I feel like it's honestly just based on my perception, because I can say right now that I'm great. I'm totally letting go of cannabis right now, and I'm gonna probably not ingest for however, like maybe another week or 2 or 3 or 4 or a year. I don't even know. But at the same time, I can just as easily like get off the hangout now and be, oh, I gotta go, man, and then like, you know, like scratch my head a little bit, and then like convince myself and be like, yeah, it's okay, and like get more tomorrow and be like, oh, everything's divine. It's all, you know, everything happens for a reason, man. And so I think through my lessons, I've been learning to accept my flaws and accept that I don't have to always be strong, and I don't have to always be my hero and be this light being, guardian, keeper of the consciousness. Sometimes I just want to eat pizza, yeah, and like just sit around all day, and knowing that like, okay, I'm gonna be alive from like the next 80 years, so I got a good head on my shoulders, I'm okay. So like the lessons I'm learning have been solely, a lot of my lessons are just in my body, and how I've been treating my body and mistreating, and not like I did a 57-day juice cleanse, and it changed my life forever. And so now, damn it, I'm in a space where like I know what is good for my body, just in a physical level. And it's hard transitioning from eating meat all my life to being plant-based. And it's hard going from 3 meals a day to like 1 meal and fasting. And I think I've been learning how to take care of my body and listen to my body and love my body, and really just, it's like I literally talk to my body. And it's interesting how like, so I think the lessons I've learned are that like just the body, like I don't, to realize how important my physical body is, and to sacrifice my habits, addictions, mental perceptions for like what my body is. And my body's like, look, yo, like you're gonna drink some fresh pressed vegetable and fruit juice. You're not gonna eat any more chicken. You're not gonna eat nearly as much food as you've been eating in the past. You're gonna do yoga. You're gonna work out. You're gonna stay healthy. You're gonna do mindfulness of breath. And it's almost like my body is just naturally like knows what to do. And it's just amazing how when I listen to my body, it's like I'm like, okay, body, like, all right, you are praised, and I do feel pretty charged up and really awesome right now. And then I eat like a piece of chocolate cake, and then I just go around and around in circles in this life. And but anyways, you know, I think the lesson is, man, don't even fucking take life too seriously. Just have fun, you know, enjoy it while you can. Because honestly, we're all gonna die. You know, it's like if the last thing I'll say is that if I I'd rather die laughing than being serious. Thank you.
All right. All right. Thank you very much, Mordecai. Awesome. Sweet. Yeah. And again, you know, like, I think it's always interesting, and I think it's always going to be important to be able to, you know, understand that everyone's going to have their own perspective on things, and we're all going to be at our own different place. And I feel like I definitely hear where you're coming from, and I can definitely say that, like, as you get older, you're going to find that, like, the mindset kind of shifts as you get older and things like that. Like, you can't get away with the same things in the same way, but it's still important to be able to find that balance between just kind of like enjoying the sensations that life has to offer while still upholding the virtues of discipline that are going to allow you to, like, show up in the best way possible. Because when you're like 19 and everything like that, it's just like it can be a little bit easier to just like be in the pizza mode diet. And I mean, obviously I'm saying that because I've lived it and everything, but yeah, like as I get older and everything, it's just kind of like the body kind of shifts, and then you kind of have to get more disciplined, which is an interesting thing that just kind of like naturally happens. So yeah, man, absolutely, like enjoy it while you're in that state where the body's just like, yes, let's do this and everything like that. But at the same time, for all of us, you know, I think it's important to be able to really begin consciously developing the discipline that we need to be able to be like the best versions of ourselves, not only for us, but to be able to like show up for others as well. But yeah, no, Mordecai, I think you're doing great, man. Like you said, you got a good head on your shoulder and stuff. So keep challenging yourself, I think is the important thing. So, and be aware, and this is, you know, this goes for everyone. Be aware of like how like we deceive ourselves, you know, because it's so obvious, like how we do that sometimes, like how we'll create narratives and we'll create excuses for ourselves, and we'll just be like, yeah, you know, it's okay, like it's no big deal or something like that. You know, the true test of someone's character is like what we do when we're by ourselves type thing. And I think that's kind of like what we begin to realize, especially as we get older and stuff, is that it's important to be able to almost like be in that relationship with yourself where you are holding yourself accountable, because no one else will, type thing. So it really brings it back to like just like a higher level of sovereignty and everything. But absolutely, you know, just like keep riding the ride would be the journey. But yeah, just be mindful in doing so. But yeah, man, thank you for sharing though. I appreciate it.
Thank you, brother. Thanks for passing the stick.
Thanks, man. All right, we'll pass it around some more.
All
right. Okay. So let's check in, and I think we still have hey, Brian, you're there. Cool. Brian, do you wanna go next? Do you want to talk for a little bit next? And then we also have
can I just do Derek a mic check? How's my mic sound
here as well? And Derek, give me a thumbs up if you can like hear us and you're good to go in a minute and stuff like that. Okay, cool. Thanks, man. All right. So Brian, if you want to, I don't know if you want to like turn the camera on yourself or whatever, but you can do that to introduce yourself or just talk a little bit about, you know, what are some of the lessons that we're going through. So again, I still want to be able to share a little bit about like what just from, again, my end of things of like the lessons that I've been going through, and not just to be like, yeah, this is me just like, you know, just like sharing for the sake of sharing. Like this is like me sharing to be able to pass on ways of being able to like share like how I've grown through these experiences. So Brian, we'll pass over to you. And just as a heads up, guys, I'd love to be able to finish this broadcast by 12 p.m. So that means that we got about an hour to do it. And that means that we can still include like a tarot card draw closer to the end of the broadcast. And I'll be honest, like part of the shifts that I've been going through within the last like few weeks has actually been changing my sleep schedule. So I've been like going to sleep at like 10 p.m. and kind of like getting up a little bit earlier in the morning and everything. Whereas like normally I would be like up past like midnight on a regular basis. So like even for me right now, like I'm not gonna lie, where it's just kind of like my body's just like, I'm ready to go to sleep right now, but I'm pushing through. I'm here and I'm present with you guys. So again, good job, team. Thanks for holding space together. Brian, I'm gonna pass the microphone over, the talking stick over to you, and I'm gonna pull up your microphone. So
okay, I'm doing a sound test. Is it working right now?
Sound test. Yeah, no, it's good, man. Sweet. Okay.
Great.
Brian, passing the talking stick over to you, and when you're ready, please go right ahead. You've been here before. You know what to do.
Yeah, I'm Brian, or Byron, doesn't matter. My artist name is Byron. My real name is Brian. I'm a Detroit-based artist. I'm not in Detroit, but I do all my art shows in Detroit. Lately, what happened this week was I had these mandalas. I was drawing a few earlier, like on paper plates, and I had to be in Detroit for a show, and like I handed out. I just, my art doesn't sell very well, but I don't expect it to either at this point. And like I litter my art in Detroit. Like I feel like it's like planting flowers or something, like, to me. And people have honked their horns and waved at me when I've done it before. And I've done it on several occasions. Like sometimes my art will go away in 3 hours. Sometimes it'll be 3 weeks. And it's like a social experiment in a way. And like I say, it's my offer to the gods. That's how I put it. Just a sacrifice that I want to give out to people. And I handed out mandalas to kids in the hood, and it was like, they were blown away by the flower designs and all that. And like one of them was talking to me about going to Michigan because they said that they wanted to go to school there. And I was like, yeah, man, you just got to keep your grades up, and like, you never know what seed you planted by doing that. Like maybe he's going to follow something he's passionate about, or maybe he won't. It's his choice. But yeah. And I got a lot of comments from people when I was in Detroit, like, because I saw a lot of friends and a lot of people I've known that I don't get to see all the time, because there was a Earth Day gathering at a place I go to, and it was really, it's just so weird because like I write the craziest stuff on Facebook you could ever imagine, and I do it for fun, and I do it to vent, and like I heard all these comments from people in person, and it's like, wow, like I didn't even know that so many people were reading when I was reading and that. And yeah, I feel like I got weird energy right now, and I don't mean to bring it to the circle, but it's because I just came back from basically like a pyramid scheme, and like it's discouraging, but it's not at the same time. Like I knew that I wasn't going to follow through with it as soon as I heard the company. I'm not going to name the company because I don't want to badmouth them too bad, but as soon as I heard who the company was, I didn't want to be involved, and everyone there was just money hungry, and it was a convention at a Holiday Inn, and so it's really left me a little conflicted. But and like in terms of things I've been thinking about, like I've been painting a lot of rooms in my house this past week, and it's given me a lot of time through hard work, a lot of time to reflect, and like when there was a time when I was in Chicago. I lived there for about 5 months back in 2010, 2011. And during my first weekend there, I was pretty suicidal. I'm a lot better now. Like I can't say that I don't think about suicide ever, but it's not bad. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not like, it's more of a morbid thought than anything. And I would never do it. I was going to jump a bridge when I was in Chicago, and I didn't. But during the 10-10-10, so those numbers hold an importance to me, like 1 zeros following each other. And it was a Chicago Marathon that weekend. I didn't even know it was going on. And during that week, I met Logic, and like that's the rapper I'm talking about. And like he's huge now. And it was so weird because he approached me when we were on the streets. I was wearing a mask, and he asked me who my favorite hip-hop artist was. I told him MF Doom, and that guy always wears a mask. We were talking about it for half an hour. We probably talked for a good 2 hours. He even gave me his phone number in that, and I lost it because I tore up so much stuff that weekend and just went nuts. But I'm really happy to see his success, and I'll never forget that he told me that like we're a rare breed, him and I think that we're all here the same thing. He referred to us as street disciples, and it's like we go out on the street and we do what we feel is necessary to enlighten the world, but not through our perception only. Like I do art, I read poems, I write. It feels like it's the right thing to do, and I know it's going to build up to something. And actually seeing Logic's success, I remember seeing in interviews, they always ask who he wants to work with the most. And he said Eminem. he's finally got a song coming out the day after my birthday with Royce and Eminem, Royce da 5'9" and Eminem, and I'm just excited to hear it because it's like it really. I would be a Logic fan even if I didn't know him, but I got to know him, and like it gives me hope, like in terms of not necessarily everyone having the success that they see, but the success that will pan out. You know, just if you just keep going at it, something's gonna stick. And I feel very very hopeful. That's how I feel this week. So yeah.
Cool. Byron, I like that idea of street disciples. That's very much like in sync with what we do. In terms of like as shifters.
I think we're all street disciples here. Like we're all doing the enlightenment. Yeah.
Totally, man. That's really cool. That's really cool. And props on doing the props on doing the mandalas and handing those out, man. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, each one takes an hour worth of work, 40 minutes to an hour to do, and I handed out a good like 10 or 12 of them, and it's like, yeah, I take photos of all of them. I'm going to upload them into a video game, and that's my plan for the future. But I just need the images. I don't need the paper plate anymore. Like it just piles up my house, and I'd rather spread the beauty around.
Mm-hmm. That's really cool, man. That's really cool. Yeah, and no doubt that definitely means something to the people that you gave them to. Like, do you remember like what some of the reactions were like when you gave them to the kids?
Man, it's always priceless to see anyone's reaction to any of my art, even if they're not if they're giving it, if they're getting it, not necessarily even buying. If they're buying it, they feel like it feels like this mutual respect that they want to support me. But when I give it away, they're like, really, me? Like it's like that kind of like feeling they get, like and yeah, I think it really brightened up the kids' days, that got the mandalas.
Totally. Yeah, that's a powerful seed to plant, man. And like that gesture of just like being able to give something as an act of compassion, like that's what creates that ripple effect. So yeah, I'm sure they'll remember that, and I wouldn't doubt that each of them probably like has that like somewhere special right now. So good job, man. That's huge.
Thank you.
That's really cool. Awesome. Sweet. All right. Brian, is there anything else you want to share before we pass the talking stick around some more?
I apologize for bringing the weird energy. You guys are great. It's just,
okay, man.
It was a lot of conniving people today, and it's just like, I wish them the best. I wish that they could not see what I see, but just see for themselves. And it's just, to them, it's money, it's perpetuation, and it's a cancer in a way. Like they're making money to make money to then talk about making money. And it's silly to me. That's not what life's about.
On just like just with everything else that we were talking about in terms of like lessons that have been going on and stuff, like again, a lot of people have been talking about like lessons of like being able to like let go and finding empowerment through that process and stuff. Any lessons, I mean, within what you talked about and stuff, any lessons that you feel that you've been learning lately as an individual that you would be comfortable sharing?
My lessons have been just that not to give up. Like I feel like they're like last week. Totally. I keep seeing Blue Jays all the time. I saw 8 Blue Jays and 7 Blue Jays day after day, like in the park where I walked by like about 2 weeks ago, and then, or maybe it had been a month ago, but last week I was like seriously just I was on the verge of becoming depressed, and I look out the window. I was just doubting myself, and this blue jay just opens its wings. I saw its whole wingspan, and I was like, "That's exactly what I needed to see." It was just that symbol of following the right path, and I'm just trudging forward. Like I'm really sore from painting today and yesterday, and I feel good. I feel like better than ever. I'm losing weight. I'm eating healthier. I'm waiting for baby number 1, and that's gonna open my eyes that you only hear so much from other people. I know it's a lot of work, but the work's intimidating. Like it's this fear mongering, and it's like, no, I'm a hard worker. I can do it. I can handle it. And it's like the new generation, you know, I underestimate how important children were until I'm having my own now. Like, it's just like they're, you know, that's why I think that's the subconscious reason why I gave the mandalas away, is because I was like, these kids, they need love, you know, they need guidance, or they need something, you know, and a lot of them are stuck in those hoods until, like, for their whole lives. They don't even know what else is out there. You know, maybe they drive around like some cookie cutter suburbs, or not, you know, doing work usually. But like, yeah, it's like, I don't know. I hope one of them blows up one day, you know, just becomes an awesome rapper themselves. You know, you don't know what they're doing, whatever they're doing, just like be the best at what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I mean, again, you know, it's that idea that like what we give our love to literally grows. So, I mean, be it a flower, or be it a person, be it a kid. So yeah, man, thank you for bringing the love to the kids. That's really important. And again, you know, that's exactly what we're encouraging within, you know, the Paradigm Shift Central project, is the idea of it being, you know, like 7 generations back, 7 generations forward type thing. So for sure, man. So,
yeah.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, man. All right. Anything else we want to share before we pass it around? I think it's great.
No, I've had it long enough now.
That's
Thank
perfect,
you.
man. Sweet. Awesome. Thank you again, Brian. I really appreciate what you do.
Thank you, Brendon.
Sweet. All right, let's keep passing the talking stick around, and yeah, let's check in. We got Derek, aka Jaya. Jaya, give me a thumbs up if you're ready to. Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Okay. We'll pass it over to Jaya and get some updates on any of the lessons that they have been learning on their end. So, Jaya, I'm just gonna pull up your microphone. Do you want to just say hello?
Yes. Hi.
Perfect. All right, sounds good. All right, and I'm going to pass the talking stick over to you, and welcome back to another Paradigm Shift Central team building circle. And again, you can just say who you are, where you're from, and yeah, anything that you'd like to bring to the circle, and focusing around the idea of like what lessons have you been learning as an individual, and maybe, you know, how those are being reflected within the collective. So, welcome back, brother. Go right ahead.
Yes, thanks. Yeah, it's good to be back. It has been a while, but. Yeah, it's like here in Holland, it's 5 o'clock in the morning. And yeah, so I just found the opportunity to sneak in to the hangout. And I was like, yeah, I saw it pass a few times, and I wanted to join, but then or I fell asleep, or I forgot about it, or whatever. Actually, so that brings me to the point what I'm kind of completing with. That's to have more of a structure, more clarity, more basis, more ground in my life. Yeah. So that I actually able to fulfill my words, the appointments. Like, I really have to make appointments with myself to really get things done, to become productive again, because I haven't been productive at all, and it's kind of bothering me. Okay, so I introduce myself first. So yeah, my birth name is Derek Brandt, but on Facebook, Jaya. And actually, I got a new name, spiritual name, during meditation. But somehow, like, I changed back to my old name so someone could find me, because she couldn't find me. And there's some stupid rule on Facebook that you can't change. Once you've switched name, you can't switch back. You have to wait for 2 months. But that name is Aruna Ganga. Anyway, it's just names. So. I used to be an artist. I didn't. Well, I'm still artist. I will always be artist. And it's always been with me. It's just for the past 6 months that my life totally changed. Basically, before I was doing projects with. I did project with 30 moon calendar. I made my own version of it, with totem animals. I make my own discs. I was going from festival to festival with it. making paintings, sculptures, drawings, poetry, all kinds of stuff, and sometimes going out doing it in public, but not really being so still. I feel like it's something I would really love to do more, to share these things in public and get out into the world and share whatever that I've created. And that's also another thing. But anyway, so half year ago, something happened. So there was like a turning point in my life. I needed to find answers. I was really like, I know there's more to it than what I know, and I need to find those answers. And so it's like seeking, an intense seeking to get more to the core of it, to find out more about the nature of this reality, to get more clarity about what's reality, how what's the purpose of, and how to relate to that, how to live upon that. So I've been listening a lot to some masters, to some of my examples like Muji and Sadhguru, and instead of music, just listening to satsangs and listening to lectures and stuff, and just absorbing all this knowledge, wisdom, and trying to integrate it within me. And at some point, it led me to I wanted to go to the source of knowledge, of all wisdom. And I knew, like, it's in India. I know, I already knew about the Vedic scriptures, and it's the source of knowledge and wisdom. And I decided, it's time that I get to find out about this, to connect with that source. And so it was just on YouTube. I typed in a few words like Swami, avatar, and then this guy appears, this Swami, which he looks very flamboyant and very strong, like very intense energy, kind of blown away by it. And I started following him. And since then, I kind of got pulled in to this new dimension. Actually, he's an avatar, and he's reviving the Agamas and the Vedas, the ancient scriptures, all the knowledge and the wisdom, make it user-friendly for humanity to have access to that knowledge, to also the methods and the techniques and all these things. And actually, he landed to give humanity superconscious breakthrough. And so I was just watching some videos, and at some point I saw there's like demonstration, like there's demonstrations of superpowers of the disciples in that ashram in the south of India, and there's a gurukul. It means there's a school, children that are being initiated also by him, and they were initiated to with the power to answer any kind of question. It doesn't matter. It can be any kind, like the most complex mathematical equations, or the distance between the Earth and some other planets or star system or whatever, or the temperature on whatever planet. And there were like scientists that came to the ashram that really wanted to find out what's happening there, and get to see for themselves, get to verify, to see if it's real and to test it out. And each one of them, they got this, Balasant is a kid, like these children, kid that is initiated, and they just fire questions at them, but because their third eye is totally opened, through the third eye they have access to the Akashic records, like totally, and after the answer they check on Google, and every time it was spot on. When I saw this, then I was really like, wow, this is very exciting. I need to know more about it. So that was, when I saw this, I knew, like, this is the one to follow, because this is the breakthrough humanity has been waiting for. That's what I recognized when I saw this. This is the next level to enter. So I start to contact the disciples. They also have their own channels, and you can contact them, and they can give you demonstration. They can scan you, read you, give healing, all these kinds of things, or guide you to get to know more, or to answer any question or whatever. So yeah, so at some point I was just full-time into this, just being totally absorbed, and very exciting, like a new world opening up, which shows that truly we are infinite beings, we have infinite potential, and there is a science available to realize that potential and to go beyond anything that we thought was possible. And so yeah, I started to follow some programs. Like there's some centers all around the world. There's one pretty close to me, so I went to a program, and you get initiated like a two-way, like this right now. So this avatar, I forgot to mention his name, Nithyananda Swamiji, Paramahamsa Nithyananda. And he's like he's the incarnation of Shiva. It's Shiva in human form that has landed to give humanity superconscious breakthrough. Actually, his mission is off the charts. Like he's serious about making third eye powers become popular. Like at first, when the mobile phone got introduced, it was just only the elite that got to use it, and we couldn't imagine at that time everyone would have this device. And he wants to do the same with third eye awakening and those powers. That this will be something that will be generally accepted, and as like the applications you have on your phone, we have all these applications within our system, but we don't use it, and it's like it's sleeping. So he's here to wake up those powers, Shaktis, basically. That's the name, the Sanskrit name for it. Most of the Shaktis, they belong to the third eye. And there's some, I can't really explain how this, what's the, anyway. So there are like more than 460 Shaktis. And he's initiating disciples at the ashram to all of them, to activate all of these Shaktis to become like a superhuman. So yeah, I'm still just coming fresh and new in this, exploring, and also like there's the four tattvas, truths, principles that's also described in the Vedas, the Vedic scriptures. There are like 35, but he just boiled it down to 4. He says you only need to know these 4, and it's integrity, authenticity, responsibility, and enriching. So yeah, integrity is the word that you give to fulfill them, to act upon what you, the word that you give, the promise that you make. Yes, and well, authenticity is basically like the capacity that we have as human beings to fulfill that, to cognize the capacity that we have, the abilities that we have, and to realize that, basically. So it comes directly from the original source, that's you, and not just something external. Yeah. And yeah, so I don't need to explain what the responsibility is. So anyway, those are the 4 pillars, and I've been really more and more living mindfully about this, to be more and more in integrity, authenticity, and responsible. Responsibility is my flaw, basically, to take full responsibility, take full charge of sustaining myself, not to rely on others. Like I'm still a bit relying on the government that gives me welfare. I'm a bit relying on my parents because they live near, and yeah, things like that. Also responsibility to build up, to lay this foundation with that which I love to do, and build something up that provides me with income, something that I've been avoiding, kind of, those things. So it made me become more aware of the things that I need to complete. So so it was like a big completion process, and I became more and more aware of all my incompletions. So Swamiji, that's how he's being called. He uses these terms to point out, yeah, like everything that we're like struggling with, all the resistance that we have, the things that we don't accept about ourselves and others, like all of those are incompletions. Basically, it's the things from the past still sitting in the present, affecting our future. And the completion process is simply to dig inside you, in your inner space, and to see what's still sitting there in your inner space, what cognitions you have about yourself, about others, about life. You write them down, and yeah, and surprising to see that there's quite some heavy loads, which it pops up once we engage with this process that normally we're not really aware of, but still it's affecting the way that we think, the way that we act, and the way that we relate also with others and ourselves. So it has been a big purging, cleaning, clearing, purification process, and also very grateful that disciples were also able to guide in this process, to assist, to support, but also devotees. Like it's one big commune, not just in the ashram, but also on Facebook and everywhere there. It's like one big family that supports each other. It's really beautiful. Just like Paradigm Shift is also like a family to support each other in a different way. But yeah, it's interesting to see that there's different ways, but all going towards that same purpose. You know, it's to come to oneness and to be in oneness with ourselves and with each other and with existence, and enriching. Basically, it's sharing all the wisdom, all the knowledge, all the good things that we find and got to know about and shared with others, for them to also have access to these things. And so it's like opening doors for each other to come together and to kind of more and more like get in, how should I say it? To circle. Yeah, it's circling together, yeah. Yeah, so let's see. So basically, I went to through a few programs. I've been initiated by Swamiji in the power of body scanning, mind reading, and third eye healing. Also, consciousness over matter. So what consciousness over matter is that you can move matter with the third eye. So basically, he awakens the Kundalini, and that Kundalini energy is being expressed through the third eye, and it can be directed in all kinds of ways. So to move matter, for example. Yeah, and I've been practicing with that, and like every week there's an initiation to it, so you guys also can get initiated. And it's like we most of the times coconut is being used, and just through the webcam, it doesn't matter what distance we're on the planet, like we just simply practice with each other and roll the coconut from the hand, like one person is holding the coconut, like this ball, for example, and the person that the other one tries to roll it from my hand just through the webcam. So that's pretty amazing. Yeah, and so it's also possible to roll it on the ground, but then you really have to practice. I didn't practice that much, but the disciples are already bending spoons, breaking spoons, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. So yeah, I really want to. So my plan is to really go to the ashram, actually Kumbh Mela, which is beginning next year, and Swamiji will give he gives programs like retreats for about a month. They're pretty pricey, but he's gonna give all those initiations that he gives during the program. He's gonna give them for free during the Kumbh Mela. So yeah, that's really something I'm striving towards, so to say. And yeah, and so I've been in a beautiful process of so I've been after I've got initiated, I've been just putting posts like I'm initiated in those powers. Anyone want to experience? I'm available. So I've been practicing a lot and having very beautiful interactions and revelations, beautiful transformations, conducting beautiful transformations, and also, yeah, while doing this, also more and more information comes through, images comes through. The third eye gets more and more active. You feel more and more empowered also. And it's like expanding, stretching out beyond the limits of what we thought, what we perceived as possible. And it's basically happening from a space of oneness. So these Shaktis, they only express when you're in oneness. So those powers, they can't be misused, because when there's ego involved, then it doesn't work, then it stops. It can only manifest itself in a space of oneness, and oneness also with with Swamiji. And so, yeah, I've been doing that a lot, day by day, day in, day out, meeting lots of people, connecting with many people, network expanding. And at some point, there was another turning point. It is the end of last year. There's a guy that I met while traveling. I was traveling with him together for some time. And so I made like a Christmas card with Swamiji on it. I was just sending to lots of people, and I sent it to him. And then he was like, "Hey, who's that guy?" Yes, I'm following Swamiji, initiated, do mind reading. And he's like, "Okay, yeah, I would like to have mind reading." So I did mind reading. So I got to see where he's at in his situation in his life, what he's going through. Swamiji showed me, I told him, and he was like really impressed. So he wanted to get to know more about this. And then he told me that his sister, she was terminally ill, and she had terminal cancer, and she was about to get operated, and she would only have 20% chance to survive that operation. So I was like, no, this something. So I was really determined to prevent her from having that operation. So I was really like, she will be. I will do everything that I can to be sure that she doesn't have to be operated. It's not an option. So, so it was a one-nighter with her, and so yeah. So with the body scanning and then the healing, and more, like getting to see, getting to feel what's going on inside her system. And actually at some point, so all of her body all over was totally in pain, and after a few hours all the pain left, and at some point I could even see the tumors, and I could feel and I could see them shrinking. So I told her like what I was experiencing, and she was feeling the same thing. So I was really excited, like wow. And also I got I got plenty of help from disciples. I just sent her picture, and they sent healing as well. So it was not just me. But so then the day after she went to the hospital, there were like 8 specialists, and they were checking to see what's her situation, her condition. And so they were totally astonished, perplexed, because she had like 8 tumors and all of them were gone. So that was really a big breakthrough for me. Like, wow, this is so it's like I had this purpose so for me it is my purpose, my biggest purpose, to assist in others' lives as much as possible, to contribute as much as I can to better lives and to better myself, basically. And I've been doing it through art, and now I found this, and of course for me this is much more of a contribution than my art. So because of this I've been neglecting my art, and just, wow, when I can save lives, then I'm gonna save as much as lives as possible, you know. So so you can imagine that I became very passionate about it, and yeah, so lives got saved, miraculous things happened, but so yeah, now I reached the point that I feel like I need to pick up the things that I've left behind. It started to nag me a little bit, like I'm kind of missing the creativity, expressing well, of course, creativity also expresses itself just right now, you know. I mean, but the visual creativity, so to say, I started to miss it. Also, these practices that are given. So I forgot to mention Sanatana Hindu Dharma, Hinduism, is like what we get to know about Hinduism in general, and what it really is a big gap. So he totally clarified that actually what is Hinduism? It's about oneness, living in oneness, being in the space of oneness, basically all inclusive. And compared to Buddhism, they're more. It's more about the space of emptiness, nothingness, like detached, being detached from worldliness, from all distractions and all these things. So I considered myself to be like a Buddhist. I called myself a Buddhist, but actually it's not true. It's well, of course, we don't have to put any labels on ourselves, but it's good to have a identity that we can relate to without identifying with it, so to say. So I wouldn't say that I'm a Hindu, but it's like I aspire to become more integrated with this lifestyle called Hinduism, because it has all the answers, basically, on for every aspect of existence. It has all the answers to reach our highest potential, and yeah, and to become enlightened, basically.
It's pretty awesome.
Okay, I guess that's about it.
It's a good update, though. A lot to share, yeah.
Yeah, a lot to share. Yeah,
It's cool. I think Nick was actually just commenting. He was just saying that was really interesting. I think that was related to like the tumors healing and stuff. Nick, I'm just going to bring up your microphone. We're getting closer to the end of the broadcast, but I wasn't sure if you just wanted to, if there's any conversation that you wanted to ask, or if Nick's there.
No, not specifically. Although I will give some kudos. I see that you were, or still are, possibly recording the Facebook Live.
Yeah.
Right on, man.
Figure that out. Yeah, thanks.
it's beautiful, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Amazing, Derek. That sounds so crazy. All of that.
Yes, actually, it is really like oh, it's like so much to say about this, you know, and then you need to put it in some package, you know, somehow, and this I'm glad I managed to pull it off somehow. So, and yeah, I'm very glad to share it with you guys. I've been looking forward to it, actually. Yeah, so special moment.
Could you share your links or whatever you got for your contact in the description or anything like that? Because I'd love to check out these groups you were talking about and learn more about everything.
Yeah, it's I'll share some links. So basically, every Sunday there's an kalpataru. It means wish fulfilling tree. So it's like a course, and you get introduced by a teacher all about Swamiji and the Sangha. Sangha is the community, and the ashram, all the things that are going on there. So you get like an introduction, and also then you get introduced to the completion process, and also the wish that you have that you would like to manifest in your life. Then by going through that process, you get to align yourself with the energy, with the presence, with Swamiji, whatever, with the source. By going through this process, you get to align. and this way, like it's like opening up the doors for this intention to manifest itself, basically. So it's the science of manifesting, like kind of a law of attraction, but it's beyond the law of attraction. It's like more like a science, and more like a practice, a very tangible way of of going through that. So, and then after that, there's an initiation. There's a process that with a fire also, and you get to see what's happening there inside the ashram. You see Swamiji, you see participants being initiated, and at some point, there's some. When he's finished initiating those participants, then he starts the initiation starts to initiate everyone that's participating with this online, so that are online basically, also through some mantras. And then you're able to express consciousness over matter. You're able to move matter through your third eye after this initiation. And you get to practice with each other through Zoom. Maybe you know that program.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's a great way to be introduced, and right away to play with that power, and to get to meet others, to kind of share and to play play with it together. Yeah.
Wow.
Word, man.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
pretty hard to.
Sorry, I wasn't sure.
Oh, sorry.
Nick's microphone down. I wasn't sure who was saying anything.
Oh. Am I on or off?
You're on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, that sounds amazing. It's like difficult for me to believe, but I do believe.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Can you like show us any matter moving? Like, have you developed your own skills to that level where you could,
sure.
Demonstrate anything, I guess?
Yeah. Hey, Brendon, do you have some round object you can grab?
I don't know if I'm super, super tired right now, man.
Okay.
I'm not really. I don't know. Because I was gonna say, I'm pretty much we're gonna wrap this broadcast up in the next few minutes.
Sure.
I don't know, Nick, do you want to go on a webcam and hold it?
Yeah, one sec here.
Okay, because I was still gonna I want to be able to just go over a couple things before we wrap this up. But yeah, I'm not even sure how much we'll do before we finish the broadcast. But go ahead, you guys do your thing. So
cool.
All right. Well, yeah. My apologies, Brendon.
Yeah, my apologies for stretching it out so much.
It's okay, guys.
So it needs to be a round, huh?
Yes. I haven't done it for a while, but I'm sure it will work. Sometimes it's just like warming up a little bit to get the Kundalini energy going, and then it can go fast. It can take more time. Okay. Let's see.
Is this it's round? It's not like a perfect circle.
Interesting. Let's see how it goes. It's not ideal. Of course, it's very possible, but it's best to have the easier object thing. Maybe some fruit. Maybe have some fruit.
Okay. How about Brendon? If you want to do some closing things, I can look for a round object and slide that in to the end or something.
Sure, whatever works.
All right. Yep,
I'll be back.
I'll be back.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
Okay, let me think for a second. Okay, so it's almost midnight here. Yeah, just being like super transparent. I'm pretty exhausted, guys. Like I kind of had like the intention of kind of like getting into some story stuff that I was going to share. I'm not really sure if like now is the best time for me to do that and stuff, because I want to be able to like do it kind of like in a more proper way. My body's just like pretty exhausted right now. But we can still do a tarot card reading. But yeah, let me just kind of segue here. And yeah, Derek, man, thank you again for sharing that. Just as like
Yes.
documentation of what's happening out there in the world of shifting consciousness and what's possible, and the idea of like unlocking these natural superhuman abilities. I think it's pretty fascinating.
Yes.
And if you can send me any links for anything that you want put into the show notes, we can do that as well.
Yes.
People can check that out. Cool.
Yes. Pleasure.
Cool. Okay, what was I going to talk about originally, like way back at the beginning? I was going to talk about yeah, okay. I'll stand by for Nick to let me know when he's back and stuff like that. But yeah, I was originally going to talk about like this idea of like the lessons that we were going through in terms of the collective, and for myself at least, it was kind of like it was kind of, oh man, see, right now I'm just kind of like, I'm just tired right now. Like it's hard for me to even channel the information properly, but it really brings it back to this idea of understanding that like everything is here to help you. Even when those things are experiencing not what you want and experiencing pain, but understanding that there's a difference between like pain and suffering. And so like suffering can often come from the attachments that we hold on to. Well, pain is actually a very important part of like the growth process. Now, not to say that pain is something that we always have to be manifesting for ourselves, because I think there's a lot of growth that we can achieve without having to experience pain. But oftentimes it's kind of like this idea of everything kind of working in its own divine order, and understanding that there's certain aspects to this reality, if not all of this reality, where things are going to happen regardless of whether or not you want them to. And so it's this idea of like, well, do we have free will? And I think our free will comes into play in terms of how we perceive any given moment. So there's certain things within our reality that are like going to happen no matter what, but then our free will is in being able to willingly shift our perspectives of how like being able to understand like why those things might be happening to us, or how those things are helping us grow, and how those things are helping us tap into more parts of ourselves. So what I was like going through within the last little bit, without even having to get into too much of personal details and stuff, was basically like an experience of like of heartbreak. And so I put up a post about this before, and it's this idea of knowing that the heart doesn't necessarily break, it only breaks open. And so when we do this, it's being able to from my own experience, it's like I can understand why this experience manifested into my reality. And it was kind of like I had to experience like this like incredible high of like a relationship that I was in that was like only like for like a couple months, but it was like really potent, and it was like really awesome from my point of view and everything. And then in order to be able to like to have that high, in order to be able to experience the opposite of that high, but to be able to experience the growth that comes out of that. I'll just kind of hit on a few points in terms of like how I kind of healed through my heartbreak process, through my heartbreaking opening process. And so a big part of it was kind of like through tapping into this wisdom of everything is here to help you, and knowing that like when and really just like bringing everything back to the idea of sovereignty, self-empowerment, and knowing that empowerment is a choice. And knowing that when you're feeling the things related to grief and related to heartache and everything like that, it's important that we feel those feelings. Like we can't run away from those feelings. Like the only way to move through those feelings is to feel those feelings. And so it's like really being able to honor the fact that, yeah, you do feel sad, and that's like a reflection of the fact that you care a lot. And so it's kind of like balancing that with the willingness to also be able to intentionally like let go of our attachments to like a reality that we thought might have happened but then didn't happen. And that's usually like where grief comes in, when there's like a sudden unexpected shift within our reality. We're expecting things to go one way and then suddenly it goes another way, or sometimes it's not even unexpected. Sometimes it can be a slow process, but nonetheless, grief is often like relative to us wanting things to be one way and them not being a certain way. But then one of the things that really like helped me through my own process was doing a lot of the inner work, taking care of myself, like physically, mentally, and just like really like taking time to really be able to use my breath. So like when you're in that heartbreak space, like it's literally something that affects your physical body. And so for me, it was being able to use the breath to be able to move that energy. And that's usually like what we feel when we're in that heartbreak space, is that like there's like this like buildup of energy and it's sitting there. So it's like you have to move it, you have to face it, you have to sit with it, you have to feel it. And so that can be crying if you need to, which you should. And it can also be like through breathing as well. And so part of what allowed me to get through some of the stuff was like this shift in the perspective of understanding that, you know, every relationship prepares us for our next one. And so it was important for me to be able to move forward without feeling like I needed anything from the other person. Like I didn't need like them to say something. I didn't need like any sort of like validation. I didn't need them to like tell me something in order for me to feel better. Like everything that I had to feel better was in myself. And sometimes part of the lesson is the fact that like you won't get that from the other person, and still being able to move forward from that. Or sometimes you'll have to move forward without fully knowing or without some sort of full closure in a sense. But then it's okay, because like you have to understand that like that person's going to be where they are. And so any of these experiences, it leads you into deeper places of compassion, to really just being able to honor them for where they are without having to like take it too personally. And then like the big shift for me was this idea of like the mantra of being able to say, thank you for helping me. And so rather than like, you know, breaking up with someone and being like having that, you know, resentment or something like that, literally, and this is a dialogue that you can have with yourself. You may not even get a chance to have it with them, but like you literally create that dialogue within you, and you're just like, thank you for helping me. Thank you for like putting me into this place of deep pain so that I can feel this part of myself, know where I need to bring more self-love into my life, and to be able to learn more about my own flexibility and resilience and my own like inner strengths. That is going to help me learn more about myself. It's going to help me know what I value in a relationship so that I can manifest it within my next relationship. And so it's also tied in with this idea of knowing that when like there's always something ahead of us that is like just waiting for us to be able to show up for it. So again, you know, it might not be exactly what you thought was going to happen, but then imagine how much you would be able to shift your understanding if, like, say you got out of a heartbreak or you went through a breakup and stuff, and, you know, you're kind of in that mode where you're just like, oh, like that was going to be the one, or that was so good, or there will never be anything just as good as that again. And this is something that, you know, this is a human experience. We all feel this. But imagine if someone came up to you and was like, hey, like, I guarantee you 100% that there is like another awesome relationship or whatever it is that you're looking for that is coming your way. And that means that like you have between now and then to just kind of like keep working on yourself in the best way possible. And knowing that like there literally is like a party for you that's coming your way. So what happens if you can feel that party in the present moment and begin celebrating it now? And so part of what happens out of a breakup is that you begin to rebuild yourself, and you begin to realize the importance of being able to raise your own vibration. So in order to be able to like find that next partnership, if that's what you're looking for in due time, without trying to like skip the step of working on yourself first. It's important to be able to, you know, you're not going to find that next relationship by like going out clubbing or by like going looking for it and stuff like that. I mean, you can do that. Not to say it wouldn't work, but like it might not be exactly what you want, or it might be like a repeating pattern. But in really to get kind of like that next soul partnership, that happens when your vibrational state matches the vibrational state of that experience. So you literally have to, so like if you want that next partner in your life, or the partner that you're looking for next, you can literally just stay at home and like work on yourself. And then, yeah, maybe, you know, put yourself out there now and then, but like, you don't have to go like looking for it in a sense. So it's kind of this idea of like tapping into a deeper sense of wisdom and faith, not necessarily a religious sense, but faith in an understanding that like everything is here to help us. There's still like awesome stuff coming your way. Relax, work on yourself in the meantime. And when you can do this, it really helps shift your perspective. And so like, that's kind of been this ongoing thing for me, through my own healing process, is really taking the space for myself and constantly shifting my perspective, and like being able to catch myself when I'm kind of like playing into kind of like this victim mentality, and then switching it into victor mode, and really being able to realize that empowerment is a choice within any moment. So it's just like, oh, you can feel disempowered because you're crushed, but it's like, or you can feel empowered because you have the opportunity to like rise up through it. And so for me, one of the big things for my own healing experience, and fortunate to say that, you know, like I've been quite proud of my of the choices that I've made following this experience, and because of it, like now, you know, like instead of like you know, the person, instead of us like you know, sometimes when you like break up with a partner or whatever, you can get into that space where, you know, you just like you can't see him out in public, or you just can't be friends with them type thing. Whereas fortunately, like I've manifested a path where it's like, yeah, okay, we can still be friends and acquaintances. It's possible. But what made that possible was me doing the inner work. And me kind of like creating that intention. And the big thing for me, that was like a huge part of my healing, that like really made me feel like a rock star, and I still do feel like a rock star, is going out like one night, and I was like, it was like after a shift meeting, and I went out to like ecstatic dance on my own, and I just like sat there and meditated. And then there was like an event at like a club type thing, and I knew there was a possibility of like my ex being there, and things like that. And so I really had to check in with myself. I'm like, okay, like, why am I going to this event? Like, am I going there because I like, quote unquote, like want to run into her? Like, do I want to talk to her or stuff like that? Do I like, and I think an old part of me probably would have come off in a sense where it was like, oh, I was like wounded, and, you know, like, oh, maybe I might get a chance to talk to her or something like that. But then I was just like, no, like, I'm going there because there is a gift for me in the experience of showing up in my own empowerment. And maybe they'll be there, like maybe they won't be there. And so when I went there, like I literally went there on my own, and I just started dancing on my own. And I was just like literally dancing in my own empowerment. And then like what actually ended up happening is that like the person ended up showing up, and they were like with like their new partner. And so like this was like something that even in that moment, it was a little bit unexpected for me, but I was actually able to like go up to them and like say hi to both of them, because I know both of them. And I was actually able to like experience, like I was actually able to like dance with both of them. And then like the three of us like spent the evening dancing together. And then, you know, like at times I would kind of like, I'd be dancing with them, and then I would like give them their space and everything. And it was like really empowering for me to be able to do that in a way that like felt good within my heart. And then at the end of the night, I had the opportunity to kind of just like, before I said goodnight to them, and I literally said that, I was just like, you know, it's just like, I just want to say that like, I appreciate both of you guys as friends. And I just want to say like, thank you for helping me. And when I did that, my ex, I like her eyes like kind of like started to tear up, and I didn't really stick around for too long after that, but I could tell like it was almost like something with that, like it was kind of like unexpected, and it kind of like and it meant something to both of us. And just even in that moment, just like literally saying that, like, thank you for helping me, like was just like this immense amount of healing that took place like in that single moment. And again, it was like healing for me because it was kind of like, it was like, and I literally said to them, and, you know, I'm like, I'm saying this for my own self, but, you know, I'm also like putting this out there as a gift for you guys to receive. But like, I give you guys like my blessings, and, you know, and I just like, I care about you guys, and, you know, and that was it. That's really all I had to say, type thing. And it was really empowering, and that in itself like allowed me to continue to move forward. And now, not to say like, you know, like even just because I've done that, like that the work is entirely done. Like, I believe me, like because like again, like being very like as a Cancer, we're very like emotionally oriented, so a lot of my lessons are through emotions. And not to say that like, oh, I care about things more than other people. We all care about things deeply, but yeah, even for me now, like I still have feelings. I still have feelings for this person. I still like wake up feeling certain things. I still wake up kind of feeling like, you know, like that little bit of like that struggle and stuff like that. But it's different. I've been able to shift it, and I'm becoming aware of it, and I'm being gentle with myself. And again, I'm really like putting forth the intention of just like working on myself and allowing, you know, any of those times when you like feel that hurt or whatever, that's like the universe telling you like that's where you need to love yourself more. Like that's where you need to send more love. Like wherever you're hurting, send more love there. So it's really been a powerful transformational experience for me, and one that, again, you know, I'm quite proud in terms of like how I've been able to graduate through this experience. And for me, especially as someone who you know, positions himself in a place of leadership within a conscious community, I can understand exactly like why my soul like put myself through this experience, because yeah, I've had heartaches before. This one was like super potent for me, at least. And I know that like in me being able to experience that, and also be able to experience how to heal through that, it's allowing me to be able to show up as a better leader, and also to be of assistance for other people who are going through their own versions of heartbreak. And that's actually something where, like, because I was going through my own experiences and everything, I've actually been able to help a good handful of people within the last few weeks who have like been going through their own heartaches, and I just kind of like sat down, and I, you know, just like online, and I just spent some time talking with them, and literally like helped shift their perspectives in the same way that I was able to like shift my own perspective. So it was kind of like there's methods and techniques that can be taken place when it comes to healing our heart. And so yeah, no, I just wanted to be able to share that again, you know, for me, like the lessons that I've been going through have been like these huge lessons of letting go, and also being able to experience like the medicine of pain, and out of that being able to like radically transform myself while getting ready for like what's still ahead. And again, you know, like out of this, it's allowing me to show up as like a better individual, as a better leader within the community. And yeah, and in that sense, I'm grateful for it. Even like with the relationship, like if I find myself like thinking about it and stuff, I just make sure that I kind of like program into my thought process that like I'm grateful that it happened, you know, like I'm just grateful for the experience, opposed to being like, oh, I wish it could have went on longer type thing. I'm just like, I'm just grateful it happened. I'm just grateful it happened. And knowing that it lasted only as long as it was meant to. And knowing that like I showed up good within the relationship. I showed up as best as I could within the relationship. And again, knowing that like everything happened exactly how it was supposed to. So there's no point in kind of like beating myself up over it. There's no point in saying like, oh, what if? Everything unfolded exactly as it needed to. And now again, you know, it's kind of like from a distance, I can still have compassion for this person and just be like encouraging them, you know, just being like grateful that like both of us got growth out of this experience, and they're on their own path and I'm on my own path, and that's awesome. And we're two humans and we're both growing, and really just kind of like having that compassion and really checking in with myself, and again, just like if there was any resentment, I would be able to just like shift my perspective on that. So, you know, I think this is like kind of, again, you know, I pass on this story because I know a lot of us are kind of going through our own heartbreaks in certain ways, and maybe even people who are experiencing it like right now as they're listening to this and stuff. But passing on that idea of the mantra of like, thank you for helping me, you know, like create that dialogue within your mind that you can give to that person. And maybe you'll get to say it to them, maybe you won't. But then again, and again, you know, just realizing that like there's nothing you need from them. You don't need an apology. You don't need validation from them. There's nothing you actually need from them. And when you realize that, again, it brings it back to your own empowerment. Like you don't need their validation. You already are like a badass in yourself. And so bringing it all comes back to self-love. Like it really all comes back to self-love. Like it's easy to love someone else, you know, within a relative context. It's hard to love yourself oftentimes, but it's important. And that's like the most important thing that we need to do at the end of the day is to be able to love ourselves. So if we're like constantly like jumping from like one external validation or one external distraction from another, eventually the universe is just going to be like, hey, you know, it's going to put us in a scenario where it's going to force us to love ourselves. And so I'm grateful that this experience has allowed me to be able to experience what it was like to heal myself through this process. And you know, when you're healed, when you're kind of like in those situations where previously it might like kind of like give you like this like anxiety feeling in your chest, and it's not there anymore. And so because again, you know, like within the first week that it happened, it was a visceral sensation. Like it was literally in my body. Like I couldn't sleep at night. I was like, you know, it was just like heavy sweating at night and stuff like that. It was just like, and the mind loops and everything. But once I did the work, and I really did the work, like that was the hard part. And then, you know, went through this process of like forgiving myself, thanking them, and just like shifting my perspectives on that sensation went away. And that for me meant that like, yeah, my heart had healed in that sense. And not to say it's like, you know, the healing continues. And again, there will still be feelings, but it's definitely been like a very powerful shift for me that has taught me a lot more about like the process of being able to heal the heart, the process of deeper compassion, the power of shifting perspectives, the power of faith and knowing that like there is like awesome stuff still ahead of you. And so for me, like I don't know what the future holds for me, but I know that like all I have to do is work on myself and love myself, and everything that I need will arrive to me when the time is right. And I have to be willing to accept that, you know, like maybe I'll be single for a while. I don't know. I really don't know. But I almost have to like anticipate that it's a possibility, get comfortable with that, and then just keep working on myself. And when I kind of like am ready and that vibrational state is matched, then like that next partner will arrive. And that's kind of like the beauty of it. So you know, call it law of attraction or whatever, but call it a life hack. But yeah, you know, there's tricks to manifesting a partner or whatever it is. You know, it could be a job, it could be like a house, it could be a material object or whatever. But you know, vibrational frequencies attract to one another. So it really does take a lot of self-care, self-love, and in some ways, you know, also just being able to have like a bit of coaching and you know, other people helping remind you and everything like that. So just putting it out there, you know, if anybody's like listening to this broadcast and maybe they want to like talk to me some more, or even like do some like one-on-one like discussion and coaching and stuff like that, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to hold your space for that, because I know it's important, and I want to be able to see more people being able to heal themselves, and then in turn being able to share this medicine with other people. So yeah, so I mean, with the full moon coming up, yeah, learning to let go, and really being able to like find you know, like gratitude for all the experiences that we go through, for the highs and the lows, because that is exactly what we need in order to be able to grow into our full potential within this reality. So again, you know, consciousness didn't like the purpose of the universe isn't just to make you happy. The purpose of the universe is to expand your consciousness in that sense. So it takes the full spectrum in order to be able to really get the most medicine that we need out of this experience. So anyways, that's pretty much what I wanted to share on that front. So I guess I said that all. So I guess I still did have energy for that. But yeah, no, I wanted to be able to share that. Sweet. Okay. Yeah, let's because we only got like a couple people left in the broadcast right now, and I know we got like 4 people on Facebook, 3 people in YouTube and everything. And shout out to those of you who've been watching as well, and those of you who might be listening into the future. As always, please feel free to leave any comments. Let us know that you tuned into the broadcast. We're going to do a tarot card reading, and then we're going to wrap this up. It's just me and Derek in the hangout right now, actually. So it's like, what, like 6:30 or 6:15 for him right now.
Yeah.
And we're just going to do one tarot card, and then we're just going to do like a couple breaths to end off the broadcast, and then we'll close it off there. And so as I'm shuffling the tarot deck, again, just huge shout out and a thank you, and a thank you to all the Team Patreon supporters. Again, what makes these broadcasts possible is the support through the community, through the Team Patreon, and that is through monthly micro donations of your choosing. And in return, you get your Shifter Booster Kit, which also comes with your Light Guardian crystals. And here, I'll just spin a Light Guardian crystal around real quick. So those of you guys have probably seen these plenty of times. But again, huge thank you to the Team Patreon supporters for being able to help support the ongoing free content that we're creating for the community. You can check out more at patreon.com/Brendon Culliton and add your support when you're able to. And there is still a lot more a lot more work to be done, and a lot more awesome inspiration to be shared. So with that said, we're going to do a quick tarot card reading. So this is from the Ananda tarot deck. And like I said, we're going to do this. I'm going to read it from the book, and then we're going to do a short closing meditation, and then we're going to go to sleep. So this tarot card reading is an opportunity for the universe to be able to communicate to us through the language of symbols. And usually how this works is that it's often a card that is kind of reflecting the collective lessons that we are going through. So just kind of bringing in this energy, bringing in this opportunity, trusting in this moment, and really just trusting in the process of how things are unfolding, and using our will to be able to show up with as much presence and as much gratitude as we can within any moment. So you are doing great. You are doing wonderful, and continue to keep challenging yourself as you continue to learn and grow. So pulling the card now. Oh, great universe, show us what we need to see. All right, so today's card is cool. Okay. Today's card is the King of Cups. So I'll show it to you. I think it's got like, it's actually like it's like a picture of like Jesus on there or something like that.
Huh.
JC. Let me just see. I'm just gonna find that real quick. Princess of Cups, Queen of Cups, King of Cups. Here we go. All right, so listen closely, and you can even kind of begin your meditation now if you want. King of Cups, the image. From the watery color of a fleeting, implied countryside that seems to disappear in the distance, a barely perceptible figure appears in the sky, projecting light in his heart. Meaning, in the connection of the air element with the water element, the permeating clarity of thought unites with the form-giving abilities of the psyche. Similar to the Queen of Swords, however, the King of Cups represents a male aspect of the water element. With the power of fantasy, artistic expression, and soul quality unfold from a developed individual who is in the position to create his life freely. The King of Cups describes a sensitive individual who has the capability for extrasensory perception. Without leaving the level of sensitive perception, he also has the gift of being able to soberly differentiate. This card describes a nature that unites mental clarity in connection with deep sensitivity, compassion, and soul strength. So I'll just read that part again. This card describes a nature that unites mental clarity in connection with deep sensitivity, compassion, and soul strength. The King of Cups indicates an intuitive grasp of that which escapes rational understanding. Through the development of soul powers, transcendental experiences are possible, On this level of sensitivity, the interconnection of all living things is realized and can bring about a process of soul and spiritual awakening. Astrological significance: Mercury, Neptune, Pisces, water, and air elements. Keywords: compassion, inspiration, transcendence, empathy, artistic expression, perceptivity, intuitive grasp, mediumistic abilities, aesthetic sensitivity, selfless love. Traditional meaning: wise insight, recognition, variety of ideas, emotional world, extrasensory perception, dream world, spiritual consciousness, deep faith. Yeah, so I think this actually does kind of relate to what I was just summarizing through some of the lessons that I was talking about just there. Of again, being able to use like mental rationality to be able to understand how everything is happening within divine order, and how that in itself leads us into deep compassion. So understanding that like all the souls that are doing their things like are experiencing them because like that's the best thing for them to be able to experience. So it's being able to like let go of judgment and really just having like deep compassion and honoring the fact that like every person is exactly where they need to be in order to get to where they are going. So it's about tapping into like that deeper wisdom, and as it says here, deep faith. Faith not in necessarily a religious sense, but faith more in the sense of like knowing that like things are unfolding for reasons, for purposes. And yeah, within that, just being able to navigate it with a degree of sensitivity, intuition, and awareness. So yeah, I would say that that is a very powerful card to be able to remind us of being able to meet our emotions with our wisdom in terms of just like an understanding of how things are unfolding from that higher plane, so to speak. So anyway, so that's the King of Cups right there. One last thing that I will say, and then I'm just going to open this up to Derek if he just wants to say anything else, and then we'll just do a closing meditation real quick. But again, you know, it's this idea, and this is like a really powerful idea. You know, we talk about the concept of light workers and everything. If you're here on Earth, you are a light worker. Whatever it is that you're experiencing right now is because it needs to be healed within the collective. So any pain that you're experiencing is because it needs to be healed within the collective. So if you're experiencing heartache, if you're experiencing grief, if you're experiencing a lack of self-love, you're experiencing that, and you going through that is actually you doing the light work for the collective. Like there's it's impossible for anyone not to be a light worker in that sense. So I think that's actually just kind of like a very powerful idea to be reminded that like by working on ourselves, by working on our own transformation, our own like alchemy, our own transmutation, is actually us doing the light work, because we are healing like the wounds and what needs to be worked on within that collective plane. So again, I just like honor and thank everyone for doing their own inner work, because that is so important. And that's like how we shift the paradigms, by all of us like stepping into that inner work and being able to have like the guidance and wisdom to be able to like do it with a deeper sense of faith and understanding, and also courage and encouragement, so that we can continue to pass that on to others. Because it's easy to get lost. It's easy to get lost within like the pain and the suffering and the Maya. And so sometimes we need to be beacons for others, to be like, hey, you know, like this is a ride, and there's deeper wisdom here that's going to help guide you through it. So like it's important to be able to like use that wisdom to help inspire hope within each other. So my intention is that like through bit of my own experiences, that it passes on into more people in the form of hope. Just again, going back to those simple ideas of like knowing that everything is happening for you, everything is here to help you, and the pain of things is helping you being able to understand like not only the process of how to heal, but also the process of learning like how strong you are and how flexible you are, and pointing you more in the direction of what it is that is going to be continuously serving you within your future path. So cool. All right, Jai, I'm just going to open up the microphone if there's anything else that you just want to add, and then we'll just end with a quick micro meditation, and then we'll end the broadcast. So Jaya, Derek, is there anything you
Yes.
wanted to add? Go ahead, man.
Yes, first of all, I would like to express my gratitude for sharing this wonderful. Yeah, it's for me. I'm also really resonate with this. That it's like the parts of us that are still missing awareness, that we have each other to mirror, to see where it's still missing, to bring awareness there where it's needed. And it's like still that space that's still, it's like the empty spots or the dark spots or the blind spots or how you want to call it. And that it's like through the reflection, like when we find a match, a vibrational match, there's a reflection, and through this and whatever that we need to go through, that it's just to reflect, to make visible those blind spots, so they can get cleansed, they get washed, so to say. And we wash them by letting our emotions, it's like flowing through. It's like the water, emotion is like water. And when we allow it to flow through, it simply washes out those spots, so it's to purify. So yeah, so I'm very fortunate to be in that space, that you're really sharing a very, like, this deep inner process that we all go through. And it's like really putting it down, really mapping it out, so to say, for all of us, because we all have this experience, but sometimes we're missing the clarity to know, like, what's the purpose, why is this happening, what's the, it's like seeing it from a broader perspective, so to say, to know that everything happens for our own benefit. That's the cognition to have. It all happens for our own benefit. And so thank you so much for sharing this. And yeah, it also really, I feel it also really shifted my space. So yeah, thank you for that.
Awesome. Thank you as well, Jay. Cool. All right. Well, let's bring this circle to a close as we spiral on to the next adventures by just doing a short, simple breath meditation. So, in this moment, like literally just super short, because I'm ready to head to sleep. But let's just close our eyes, relax, and just invite you to put your hands on your chest, on your heart. Just take this moment to just really connect with all it is that you are, all it is that you've been going through, all it is that you have yet to experience. And just really creating this space to be able to have gratitude for your path and how it in itself is helping you expand, is helping you grow, is helping you evolve in all the ways that your soul truly does desire and want. So remember, there's what the ego wants, and then there's what the soul wants. And sometimes those can seem like they are conflicting, but that in itself is a part of the medicine to be able to learn how to let go, learn how to shift our relationship with our egos, and being able to step back to be able to understand the wisdom of why the soul does want what it wants. And it wants it because it truly does love you. It truly does care for you, and it wants what's best for you. So everything that comes our way is helping us align to that which is continuously going to serve us in higher and more aligned ways. So showing up and meeting the universe halfway is how we honor that. By loving ourselves is how we honor that. So let's take these moments here, connecting with our breath, and we'll just stay here just for about 3 or 4 gentle inhales as you connect with your heart, and just be present in your own moment of oneness. Go ahead. Just 1 or 2 deep, gentle breaths. Awesome. And when you're ready, you can slowly just bring your awareness back to the space around you. So again, just honoring yourself, hold space for yourself, hold space for the team, hold space for the collective. As you expand, we expand. So, all right. Got a little spine tingles on that one. All right, mission accomplished once again, team. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being a part of this bigger ongoing story. As always, the journey continues with the love that you share. Go out there, help create paradigm shift communities, help plant seeds, help shift the paradigms. Go give free hugs, create your own conscious media through the main website, create a profile on the website if you haven't yet. Explore more at paradigmshiftcentral.com. If you're watching this video on YouTube, please feel free to give it a like, and you can subscribe at youtube.com/SkullBabylon, and you can find me at facebook.com/SkullBabylon, and you can also find the MP3s on the main website, and you can also find them on iTunes under the podcast under Paradigm Shift Radio, and you can check out all of the past broadcasts as well. And of course, you can support what we are doing on the team Patreon at patreon.com/Brendon Culliton. So thank you so much, everyone, for being a part of this. And Derek, I'm just going to pull up your microphone and we'll just say good night, good morning, and until next time. So good night, everyone. Oh, and happy full moon by the time this is full moon. So all right. Thank you again. And as always, keep it shifty, and we will see you guys in the future. Peace and wholeness. Much love. Pew.